Hey everyone, this is Simply Syrup and I have a special video planned out today, 10 things you may not know about in Medieval Dynasty. This video should be a fun one for beginner to intermediate players as I'm going to be addressing some of the common questions that I've been receiving. So as always, thank you so much for stopping by. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoyed the video, and with that introduction, let's get into it. Leveling up your villagers is a key aspect of having a prosperous playthrough in Medieval Dynasty. What you may not know is that villagers level depending on the price of the good they are producing. A higher price means faster leveling. That's why it seems like your villagers managing market stalls level up so quickly, while extraction villagers level up slow. This is super important to note when you consider what this means for your dynasty. My favorite example comes from your production villagers. If you want to level up your production employees fast, the best thing you can do is let them work on expensive clothing items in the sewing hut. To optimize this, allow one low skill villager to work with one high skill one. Since they produce an aggregate of the two workers' skills, your high skill worker will allow your low skill worker to level up faster. Once your villager makes it to your desired skill level, then you can move them to any other production building in the game and start leveling a different villager. There is a rotation to maximize all the different skills a villager can perform, but we will probably be covering this in a separate video. While we are on the topic of skills, there is one place where villagers go to work where their skills don't matter. All villagers will produce at the exact same rate in your field regardless of their skill. This is pretty useful to know because you likely need to rotate additional workers to your fields in the busy spring season. This means that you can assign any worker that you like to help the fields regardless of their farming stat. They all will produce the same amount. Another thing you may not know is that villagers don't actually need to be at their workstations to produce goods. While the animations are nice to see, the building will start producing as soon as the workday starts. The only exception to this rule is done by your farmers. The fieldwork animation must be played in order for work to be done. This tip actually opens up some really interesting aspects of the game. The obvious thing to take away from this tip is that you have to house your field workers close to your fields. If not, they will waste time walking to your fields when they otherwise could have been working. The not so obvious thing is that it gives you some incredible leniency when organizing your village, opening up the door for things such as separate housing and work sectors. For those of you who want happy villagers, then you may not know there are 3 things that villagers need to be happy besides food and water, and that is a well-insulated home, a job, and a family. If a villager's happiness level drops below 0, they will leave your village. It's pretty hard to make your villagers unhappy enough to leave if you give them the necessities, food, water, and shelter, but I know some of you really care about your villagers, so I wanted to include some info on them in this video. One more thing you may not know is the difference between how your skills level up compared to how your technology levels up. Basically, your skills level up from the work you perform, while your technology levels up from work both you and your villagers perform. I'm sure you've heard me recommend this before, but this is why it is so important that you sleep at night. It is incredibly time consuming to make it to the later technologies in the game, and your villagers won't work at night. And since they will produce the bulk of your technology gain, it just doesn't make sense to me to work if your villagers aren't producing. So remember, skills are for you, but tech is for you and your villagers. To maximize your tech gain per time spent playing, try to produce more in the desired tech tree and sleep at night. A special tip for those of you who enjoy role-playing in the game: when you are adjusting your sliders, you should note that each 10% represents 1 hour of the day. This means that if you are working at 100%, your villagers are working 10 hours a day. For those of you interested in maximizing production, have no fear, they really don't seem to mind working long 10-hour days. My wife left. She was cold as ice, but hey, what can I say, it was love. I built her a dynasty, but in the process I lost myself and I forgot to speak with her for a few years, and then I lost her. I'm of course talking about my wife in the game, Siegfrieda, who took my heir and left in the middle of the night, never to be seen again. It took me a few years, but eventually I got over her and found someone new, Huberta. Getting a wife is a crucial step in Medieval Dynasty because your wife will provide you with an heir, allowing your dynasty to live on forever, or at least until Racemir dies and the process starts all over. Getting a wife doesn't come with many benefits beyond this, but your spouse can do things like pay your taxes or complete King's Quest. I just wanted to include this tip as a warning that your wife will leave you if you don't keep her happy. So do yourself a favor and bring your wife a present every couple of seasons and avoid making the same mistakes that I did. One thing that I think it's super important to know is that in the later game, you will be able to reset your skills as much as you like. Once you unlock the Herbalist Hut 2, you will also unlock the Potion of Possibilities, which allows you to reset your skills. It will be no problem for you to craft once you unlock, so you can reset your skills as much as you like. What this means for you is that there is absolutely no reason for you not to put the first skill points you earn in the perk that allows for faster leveling. Each separate skill tree will allow for 3 perk points to be spent, allowing for increased skill development up to 15%. Once you get to max level, you can reset your skills and allocate those 3 precious points to other perks that interest you. But to start out, you should absolutely take the skill gain multiplier. Of course, you have learned by now that villagers need firewood to stay warm, but have you noticed that villagers actually require more firewood in the winter? Firewood is one of those things that you never want to run out of in Medieval Dynasty, because if you do, your villagers will use other resources to keep them warm, causing major problems. If you feel like you are using too much firewood, then it's time to start upgrading your homes. Well-insulated and higher tier houses will require less firewood to keep them warm. Let's take a moment to talk about your villagers' babies, because they are a very, very important resource in Medieval Dynasty if you expect to have a long playthrough. What you may not know yet is that newborns will get the average of each skill from their parents. This allows you to create super babies with maxed out skills at birth. It's not very hard. You just need to take 2 villagers with maxed out skills, put them in the same house, and simple as that. Another thing you may not know about children is that they take 18 years to grow up before they start working, making them a very costly investment. Additionally, their mothers won't work for a full year after they're born as they take care of their children, making this an even bigger investment. While having babies is very expensive, if you plan on having a long playthrough, you must manage your population for growth. This means that you will absolutely have to allow some children to grow up in your dynasty. You're honestly going to want to have as many kids as you can spare resources for. They will become a powerful workforce for you once they become of age, because you don't have to use your dynasty rep to recruit them to your village. Well, there you have it, 10 things you may not know about in Medieval Dynasty. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, because we will be coming out with more great Medieval Dynasty content very soon. As always, thanks for watching. Until next time, this is Simply Syrup, signing off.